something you long believed to be true but realized wasn't? Well, as one of the main opponents of the Illuminati, I always wanted to know what information they had that we didn't. Now we finally have an update on the drowning death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Now, according to ABC7, they stated that Malcolm-Jamal Warner had drowned while he was on vacation in Costa Rica. Now, the article goes on to say that Warner had drowned off the coast of Costa Rica on Sunday. Life is it's fragile, and in the blink of an eye, you never know. You never know. So, speaking of legacy, what do you hope that your legacy is going to be? There is part of me that I will be able to leave this earth, knowing and people knowing that I was a good person. So Katt Williams has been saying for years that if you don't play by Hollywood's rules, especially as a black man, they'll push you out. And when you look at the late Malcolm-Jamal Warner's career, that starts to make a lot of sense. Malcolm didn't chase the spotlight, and he even turned down roles that made black men look ridiculous. He stayed away from the whole put on a dress, act like a clown thing, and because of that, he was sidelined. Not because he wasn't talented, because he clearly was, but because he didn't play along. But now that he's passed, suddenly all these media outlets and celebs are calling him a legend, talking about how underrated he was. But where were they when he was alive? Where was all that love when he was doing real work and on his own terms? And this isn't about conspiracy theories for clicks. It's about patterns. Katt Williams has been calling this stuff out forever and warning about the way the industry treats people who say no. So, let's break down what Katt Williams has been exposing, what Malcolm actually stood for, and why all the praise suddenly showed up after he died. Because I've spent, so much of the early part of my life listening to, being celebrated on one hand, but paying way too much attention to the naysayers. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, best known for his role as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, suddenly passed away on July 20th, 2025. Malcolm was on a family vacation in Lemon, Costa Rica, swimming with his 8-year-old daughter when they got caught up in a rip current. This beach is known for dangerous currents and often doesn't have lifeguards on duty. And that day, no lifeguards were stationed because resources were shifted to other beaches after recent incidents. These are the first things we saw when we pulled up to the beach. Signs in Spanish and English warning people about potentially hazardous conditions. This sign even giving a roadmap for how to escape a rip current. Nearby surfers saw the dad and daughter struggling, and one surfer rescued the girl while another went after Malcolm. Unfortunately, by the time first responders arrived, they couldn't revive him. Malcolm died of asphyxia by submersion, while the man who tried to help him was taken to a nearby hospital in critical condition. Malcolm's autopsy report was later released, and it confirmed that his death was an accident. Freaking beach where officials say a dangerous rip current swept away Malcolm-Jamal Warner. The Cosby Show star drowning in secluded paradise on Sunday. What makes that beach so treacherous? It's similar to other beaches where there are strong rip currents that are deceiving. Mike Gist helps run a volunteer lifeguard organization here. He says while no lifeguards were on duty that day, Gist's friend, who happens to be a trained lifeguard, was there to surf and discovered Warner unresponsive in the water. Costa Rica's Red Cross says they were able to rescue another man alive, who was taken to a clinic in critical condition. Jesse officials say Warner's autopsy is now complete. It was completed this morning, according to authorities, Tom, and they say that it confirmed that Warner's drowning death was in fact an accident. Now, the reason Malcolm's death hit us all so hard is because he was one of those rare Hollywood child stars that stayed on the right path and never did anything to compromise himself. He was a self-made multimillionaire, Emmy-nominated actor, Grammy-winning musician, accomplished poet, director, and social activist. He was also happily married while having never been divorced, a devoted father, while having no kids out of wedlock. So even before conception, we were very clear we were having a girl. And I knew that I needed a girl first to kind of ease me into it because I have a pretty good idea of what kind of father I would be. So I needed a girl to kind of, slow me down and soften me up, if you will. So for me, raising my daughter, I came into fatherhood already with a certain maturity. Certain understanding of male-female dynamics, and with a girl, all of that starts with the father. So I've always, since I literally pulled her out of my wife, Malcolm was beloved by virtually all peers, who ever worked with him. He was a true example of how a secure man moves in this world. But then he dies suddenly in a freak accident after 54 years of good health while enjoying literal paradise with his family. The only sad part about Malcolm's life was that it was short. But he absolutely crushed it at life and gave us all an example of a life beautifully lived. But we need to talk about how Hollywood ghosted him while he lived and how Katt Williams' warnings now line up with this moment. See, Malcolm didn't fall off. He just didn't play the Hollywood game. After The Cosby Show, Malcolm could have crashed it. Big network shows, loud sitcom roles, slapstick movies. Instead, he stayed low-key and intentional. He said no to roles that made black men look stupid or cartoonish. No dresses, no clown acts, no playing to stereotypes. He wanted to represent something real. And that's where Katt Williams comes in. He has been screaming this for years. Literally, in interviews, stand-up specials, and podcasts, he's talked about how black entertainers get boxed in. And if they want to make it big, they gotta play their character. Some of us make choices. I think it's not a biggest choice for others. I'm saying, at the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress-wearing people before him. So now we had Big Mama's house 1, 2, and 3. I've never seen Media in a pantsuit. I think she wears dresses. So now I'm saying, why we picking old poor? Little Kevin Hart because it was his turn next. Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them and nobody likes them. End quote. We all love Dave Chappelle. Exactly. Dave Chappelle has never been a part of the Illuminati. They don't want him or me or people like us. And Katt turned down those same roles. Fat suits, wigs, loud coonery, and because of that, he was labeled as difficult, crazy, and unreliable. There has never been a person that has been parodied 9 times on Saturday Night Live and yet never been invited other than me. I at this point take it as a badge of honor that they don't bait with me. A lot of times when people are doing an impression of you, they're really showing you how they feel about you. You know what I mean? So for Saturday Night Live to have an impression of me and have a woman do, that means they think I'm and I understand that that's what they're saying when they do that. I understand how the game goes, and I understand that if you love me, I know why you do. And if you don't with me, I understand why. As for Malcolm, he was talented, disciplined, and smart. But because he didn't fit the formula and he wasn't born for the camera, Hollywood kept him on the sidelines. But Malcolm didn't care about Hollywood. He was doing just fine without it. He started a podcast, Not All Hood, where he often criticized the way Hollywood and mainstream media portray black people as a monolith. For the title is combating the narrative of black life or black culture that the media focuses on and, that we're all one thing. Yeah. And the whole concept is, we're not all hood, the black community is not a monolith. But instead of giving into Hollywood's demands, Malcolm chose projects that focused on social justice and education, like producing and acting in plays and documentaries about Black history and systemic racism. In 2021, he wrote an op-ed for the Television Academy where he pointed out that white network and studio executives, white writers, producers, and white directors are the gatekeepers of Black images on television. Malcolm wrote, "During the cycles where the gate hinges loosen lightly and Black creatives are given some input and illusion of control, the stereotypes often continue, even if the Black characters are given professions and higher socioeconomic status." Malcolm also spoke out against modern rap and hip-hop, and he called out the misogyny and toxic masculinity while pushing for more accountability and healing in the community. This should be a moratorium on both of those words in hip-hop, because it's low-line fruit. It's so easy. Everybody but Kumis does it to the point that it's corny. Like, there are MCs who I love, who I cannot listen to anymore because I love J. Cole. But I had to stop listening to J. Cole because I got tired of hearing R and as much as every 2 sentences because he's proven himself to be such an incredible lyricist that you think it's just too low-hanging fruit for him to use those words. I feel like when that whole Kendrick versus Drake beef went viral last year, Malcolm didn't hold back, and he criticized how hip-hop only seems to get attention when it's promoting something negative. Drake beat, which, they talk about, how much they hate each other and give all these references to violence and that sort of stuff. Do you think even though we enjoy those songs and they're bots, do you think that has a detrimental impact upon the culture ultimately? Ultimately, yes, it's been normalized for, us to call ourselves the N-word, right? And we like to talk about how we've taken the power of that word back, but I'm of the school of thought. If I'm trying to speak love and upliftment to my brother, why am I going to borrow a word from people who use the word because they hate me? But we get caught up in, we're turning the N-word into a positive. But our music is not reflecting positivity, love, and upliftment of our culture. And we're at a point now where so much of especially our music, so much of our Black music, when you strip away the music and just listen to the lyrics, so much of our Black music is really anti-Lack. Oh, you think so? When you think about it, think of, you almost cannot have hip-hop without talking about drugs, using the N-word, and M-king somebody, right? Or calling a female, a arhabian or a hoe. Like that's become we've normalized that so much that I think we need a space where we can say, wait a minute, wait, that's not all who we are. So when Katt Williams talks about how the industry only lifts you up when they can control the narrative, this is exactly what he means. Malcolm wanted to represent Black men as smart, layered, real human beings. People expected him to stay in that teen heartthrob box or take on goofy side roles. But he pushed back and he said no to a lot of work that would have made him more famous but less respected. Meanwhile, you had other Black actors blowing up in the same era by doing the exact opposite, leaning hard into stereotypes, chasing the big checks. And hey, some of them made it work. But that wasn't Malcolm's path. He stayed in his lane, and it came with consequences. He even hinted in interviews that his team told him he was too serious and not marketable enough. Basically, you're too Black, too smart, too principled, so they stop calling. And that lines up exactly with what Katt Williams has been saying. If you refuse to play the fool and accept the humiliation ritual, they erase you. I care how people feel about the ritual. It's about, does following the ritual work? And so you can fool yourself into thinking there isn't one, but the evidence will be clear. So when I be like, these guys are wearing dresses, everybody's like, he keeps talking about people wearing dresses. No, it's not weird. It's not like that. Look at it from a different way. Look at it. Show me one person that ever wore a dress in Hollywood unsuccessfully. But now that Malcolm is gone, suddenly Hollywood and the media are all over him. Tributes, social media posts, and articles calling him a legend and a pioneer. But where was all this love before? Because he didn't chase fame or fall into the usual Hollywood traps. He was largely ignored by the big platforms and award shows. Now you've got streaming services talking about unreleased projects with Malcolm's name on them, networks hyping tributes, and celebrities posting heartfelt stories. It's like overnight he became the safe Black icon everyone wants to celebrate. And that's the industry playbook. They don't uplift you for being real or principled while you're alive. They wait until it's safe to repurpose your image for brand, building, woke points, and profit. Katt Williams called this out years ago. The system only acknowledges Black talent when it fits their narrative, and when the person can't push back anymore. So the question is this genuine respect or just the usual Hollywood cleanup after the fact? Because Malcolm's career and his refusal to sell out made him a target for being sidelined, not celebrated. Malcolm-Jamal Warner wasn't just another celebrity. He was one of the few who stayed grounded, thoughtful, and committed to his values in an industry that rewards the opposite. He chose purpose over popularity, and that made him easy to overlook until now. His death isn't just tragic. It's a reminder of how rare it is to see someone move with integrity in Hollywood. But let's hear your thoughts on this tragic loss. Was Malcolm pushed out for not playing along? Why does it always take someone dying for the industry to pay attention? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next video.